whether the company pays or the city pays for the drop-off. For example, on June 9th, we watched Waste Pro pick up the trash at Portside and take it to the dump. But when we found the dump ticket from that day, it shows when the truck arrived at the dump, the driver claimed to be carrying regular city trash, a type 3 on the ticket. That means because they are a city contracted hauler and claim they dropped off city trash, they didn't pay the dump fee, in this case, $367. And we found the same thing happened for that same truck picking up trash at Portside every week in June.
I'd like to see some of it come back to those who are paying.
It's known as tucking in, and it's a violation of the city's contract.
It is frustrating because, we rely on the integrity of our contractors to do what is right.
We showed the video and the documents of what we found to City Solid Waste Director Fred Forbes.
What they are doing wrong is that they're picking up their commercial waste and avoiding the tip fee. I think it's pretty serious. I think it's something that needs to be known, and I think that we're going to take additional steps to ensure that it's very hard to do that in the future.
Based on what we found, Forbes has launched a citywide investigation, putting investigators on the streets to watch private neighborhoods just like we did. His investigators have been taking their own pictures, and he said they have seen Waste Pro tucking in some form in 5 neighborhoods.
And I think it's confined to really one company that's really abusing. We got to get reimbursed, and then we got to also penalize them so that it doesn't happen in the future.
Just in the month, we sorted through dump tickets for just one neighborhood, Portside. The city lost out on $1,674 in dump fees. Add to that, the city is also paying for the garbage haulers' gas, even when in these cases the trucks were being used for other customers. We went to Waste Pro for an interview, but it would only give a written statement saying in part, we are also conducting training sessions with drivers and supervisors to ensure our policies and procedures are understood and carried out. We today sat down with the Solid Waste Department to begin the process of rectifying any mistakes we may have inadvertently made. Forbes at Solid Waste says he has asked city auditors to begin to calculate how much Waste Pro owes, but right now he can't give an estimate. He says it will include reimbursement for dump fees and fuel and then fines on top of that. Plus, he hasn't ruled out taking away the city contract.
Now, the Solid Waste Division didn't catch this happening before we did, but says it is making several changes, including random spot checks and audits.
Great, that's a good thing. We'll keep you updated.
Warning. It is a crime what city leaders are doing. Peyton Place warning Mayor John Peyton is endangering people in Jacksonville. Be courageous. Stand against turning Jacksonville into a Peyton Place. He wants to cut fire and police protection while we are wasting millions on Peyton's pet projects. In this economy, it is foolish to cut fire and police. City leaders are cutting fire and police protection while wasting millions on Peyton's pet projects. Like they just gave away $4 million to the Jaguars football team. They repave roads with bricks and waste millions of dollars more. Please save our fire and police force because we need them. Just watch the news. Call the City Council today and tell them to keep our fire and police protection. The life you save could be your own. This Peyton Place warning brought to you by the Sanity Commission.
And a very packed room tonight. If this does pass, it will translate into about $80 for the average property owner. That may not sound like a lot, but you think of it this way, that is 2 gallons of gas for an SUV 2 full tanks of gas for an SUV like this one, which could last more than 2 weeks. And some tell us that any increase is just too much because their budgets are already pulled too tight. Brad Dewey is already cutting it close. He's on Social Security looking for a job, and he can't afford a tax increase.
I'm in a bind. I can't depend on just Social Security to keep my mortgage paid and all the regular bills and keep food on the table too.
Tonight, these chambers will be packed with people like Dewey as council members decide whether to finalize a 9% property tax hike. The average homeowner would pay about $80 extra a year, but some say it's too much and the city could be more efficient.
All these fees are taking a toll.
You could say this is an 11th hour attempt to get people moving. Landing owner Tony Slayman says he helped fund this ad for one reason.
We're just hurting. All of us are hurting. People are hurting. People can't afford another 9% raise in taxes. And it's got to stop. When you're talking about a city of 1 million people, and we're spending $500 million a year just on services, something's wrong with that. They've got to figure out how to cut.
We talked to the mayor's office about these ads, and they say Slayman's entitled to express his opinion, and that this budget is a reflection of major spending cuts and a millage rate adjustment. In fact, we found that not everybody opposes the tax hike. In an email Claudia sent to the city, she writes, "Many of us support what the mayor and council are attempting to do. Nobody likes the idea of raising taxes, but it seems like a rational approach, and that the loudest people will get all the attention, but they are not the majority." And we know there have already been quite a few budget cuts here in the city, and the mayor's office is saying that lawmakers will have to come up with $45 million more in budget cuts to keep the millage rates where they currently are. So Bruce and Stacy, what's happening here tonight and this afternoon, they are expecting hundreds of people. In fact, there's even a taxing tailgate party that's taking place here at 4 o'clock this afternoon. People that are against this tax increase, this millage rate tax increase, are encouraged to come out here at 4 o'clock, meet in front of City Hall, and then stay throughout the meeting, which is expected to last well into the night. We are live at City Hall. Nikki Kimbleton, Channel 4, the local station. By the way,
as I have sitting in the parks in Newark, I think you could probably cut back on the good time parks for a while before you slash the cops. Philadelphia, you can save a couple of cops right off the bat. Cut the $1 million set aside for mural arts. Mural arts? I don't know if you know this. Free market is great, baby. They do it for free. It's called graffiti. $32 million for a free library. Well, I gotta tell you, I read probably twice as much as the average Joe. I love to read, but I have a hard time reading, or my kids would have a hard time reading with blood coming down their eyes. Baltimore, cops are on the chopping block. But for $750,000, you gotta get rid of the cops. We got an opera house online. This is like your wife coming home and saying, honey, we're running out of money. We got to cut down on our expenses. But we got to stay healthy. We got to do something. We can't afford all of this food. You're right, honey. We got to cut the milk and the meat and the organics. We got to cut all that out. We're only going to buy Mountain Dew and Cheetos. Mountain Dew and Cheetos. How about we get the rich who never pay their fair share to buy their stupid, snotty opera house? Let me ask you. You're in a state. Would you cut the opera house or the cops? You know why this is easy for you? You know why it's infuriating for you? Because you have common sense. Now, what does your gut tell you? That everybody involved in this is a moron?
Warning. It is a crime. What city leaders are doing. Peyton Place warning. Mayor John Peyton is endangering people in Jacksonville. Be courageous. Stand against turning Jacksonville into a Peyton Place. He wants to cut fire and police protection, while we are wasting millions on Peyton's pet projects. In this economy it is foolish to cut fire and police. City leaders are cutting fire and police protection, while wasting millions on Peyton's pet projects. Like they just gave away $4 million to the Jaguars football team. They repave roads with bricks and waste millions of dollars more. Please save our fire and police force, because we need them. Just watch the news. Call the City Council today, and tell them to keep our fire and police protection. The life you save could be your own. This Peyton Place warning brought to you by the Sanity Commission.
The Peyton clown and some Kool-Aid for city organizers, and a few other antics poking fun at City Council.
It's all in good humor, but it's not. It can be pretty serious. You know, people are having a hard time making the mortgage payment, finding a job, and we can't afford another tax increase.
The Mayor John Peyton says that if this tax increase does not pass, the city will have to cut $45 million more from a budget that has already been slashed. He said that would cut important city services, and he doesn't think it's possible. Reporting live downtown, Kristen Cosby, Action News.